You said, I didn't know if I was talking to the healthy Andrew or the one who was hurting.
Yeah,
And is that because you couldn't always tell?
that's right. And I think there's a big learning curve with anybody that's diagnosed with a mental health diagnosis, mental illness diagnosis. There's a huge learning curve. You could probably speak more to that, but for the family, like, we didn't know what we were up against. And the doctors told us he was on the low end of the spectrum. Yeah, he's gonna bounce right back, you know, he'll be back to work in no time. He just needs to rest. Like, we were not concerned about this being like a death sentence. You know, we were not concerned about suicide. We didn't think it was that bad. So I think that in itself just didn't really help me to like talk to him and treat him like he was sick. And there's just a big learning curve, you know, so when he would be frustrated or angry, I think I would respond in a way that I would normally respond in our 8 years together, you know, like instead of responding with more empathy and asking questions and rubbing his back and saying, I'm so sorry you feel that way, it was more, I think I more responded I reacted instead of responding. I more reacted out of my own emotions and exhaustion, taking care of 3 boys and a sick husband, than thinking about his illness and responding.
Because anger and irritability can actually be a sign of depression and anxiety.
And those things tend to push people away.
They do.
And so that makes the person isolate even more. And it's very difficult to live with.
Yeah, it is.
Great.
Can I ask, you said that you wish you'd asked him more questions. What sort of questions do you wish you'd asked him?
Yeah, you know what, he, specifically around the suicide, he had mentioned suicide one time, about a month before he passed away. We were sitting at the kitchen counter and he talked about how he was up in the middle of the night before, and he had all his papers spread across the counter, and he was looking at his staff organization chart, and he thought about killing himself. And I reacted, and I, you know, said the worst thing that you can say to somebody that's sharing those intimate, dark, deep thoughts. And I was tired and exhausted, and said that's the most selfish thing you could ever do, which is not the right thing to say to somebody that has suicidal thoughts. And we talked about it some. You know, I asked him, did you Google it, and like how much did you think about it? How far did you take that thought? And would you ever do that? And he was like, no, you know, it was just a passing thought. I wouldn't actually do that. And that was the only time we ever talked about it. So I wish that I would have asked him about it every single day, or at least once a week, or told the doctors. I didn't even tell the doctors that he had told me that and shared that with me. And that's a huge regret that I have. So if anyone, you know, shares their suicidal thoughts with you, like, they have to be taken seriously. And I think so often we use phrases like that so flippantly, like, my test was so hard, I just wanted to kill myself, you know, like, we say things like that, and it, unfortunately, it kind of desensitizes us and makes us think, well, they're just joking. They wouldn't actually do that. I mean, he has so much to live for, he wouldn't actually do that. And I think I really believed that he wouldn't actually do that. We have 3 kids, he's leading a church, like, that would never happen. But I wish that I would have asked specifically about his suicidal thoughts way more often than not at all.
You are composed is not the right word, because that makes it sound like you're not, and you know that you shouldn't be, but there's a settledness that you have.
Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe today and you'll never miss a new upload. Thanks for being a part of our Better Together community.